Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is the worst thing ever made by a human. Except for the bagpipes. Why is it so bad, you ask? Well, it'll take a little while to explain because basically the answer involves every single thing in the film, except for Natalie Portman's midriff. And that lady. But what I can say for sure is that every one of you out there at one point before watching this movie said to yourself, well, The Phantom Menace was awful, but maybe this one will be better. You attempted to rationalize it by telling yourself that at least this time there wasn't going to be a little kid. Obi-Wan was in it more, and so was Boba Fett, and you think you might have even saw a stormtrooper. So hopes were high that Star Wars could be saved, and maybe we'd all just look back on The Phantom Menace as being that really bad one. But what you didn't realize is how fucking wrong you were. And you couldn't have possibly imagined that even with all the cool Star Wars-y stuff, that Attack of the Clones could actually be worse than The Phantom Menace. That it could be the worst thing since bagpipes. It was at that moment when you left the theater that you learned to never trust your own judgment again. To live the rest of your life plagued with doubt and mistrust of everything and everyone. You didn't realize that the nightmare of your own life had just begun. Well, don't worry, I'm here to help. I'm here to bring closure to everyone, so we can all move on. Let's jump in, shall we?
I hate it when he does that.
Yeah, I bet you do, asshole. Number 1. Everything. Almost everything in this movie is wrong, so I didn't even know where to start. The only way to really describe it was to imagine that someone has dumped out 5 separate puzzles into a pile on the floor, mixed them all up, and told you to put them all back together in 1 hour. Or they were gonna stuff you into an old fridge filled with flesh-eating cockroaches.
Why are you doing this to us?
59 minutes! You know, if you stand back and look at this movie as a whole, it just comes off to the viewer as some kind of assembly line production, devoid of any emotional involvement by anyone.
DEV 290, do 1023.
A film that coldly exploits the works of craftsmen and artists in a sterile computer-controlled environment, resulting in a series of colorful, crisp images that are played in a sequence. I do understand that big movies like this are basically a business. However, I would say that most movies, not all, but most movies come from some kind of creative spark somewhere. With the Star Wars prequels, I'm just not sure why they were even made.
And action!
It's apparent that Lucas rushed out the scripts on a legal pad in one draft a few months before they started shooting without really thinking things through. And he didn't even seem to care about anything except for trying to shove in as many things as he could make into toys or video games as possible. In the first trilogy, until you got to the Ewoks, of course, all the toys seemed to be a byproduct of the movie. There was a charming simplicity to it all. Not everything sucks. So do the prequels basically expose Lucas as being a shallow, emotionless businessman? I'll let you decide. But the answer is yes. Number 2, the audience is expected to accept too many things that we are and are not told. So this movie, like the last one, still doesn't have a main character. Instead, now it's got 2. Anakin and Obi-Wan. And I'm still not sure which one we're supposed to relate to. I would think people could relate more to Obi-Wan because he's basically a good guy who doesn't murder people. But at the same time, he's also very distant because he's like a weird monk without any personality.
What?
So take your pick, idiots. It doesn't really matter at this point, does it? Anakin's no longer an 8-year-old and is basically a whole new character at this point because it's been so long since we've seen him. And we barely knew Obi-Wan in the first place because he didn't do anything in the last movie. So they might as well just started the entire prequel saga here. I mean, why not? Qui-Gon died, and Anakin and Padme just kind of met each other. So then we're given 60 seconds in an elevator to establish that Obi-Wan and Anakin are friends. And please notice how this is not accomplished by how they act as friends, but rather it's by them recounting things that happened in the past, things we never see. Something about falling into a nest of
I haven't felt
Gundarks.
this tense since we fell into that nest of Gundarks.
Now this may seem trivial, but it establishes an important precedence in the way these films are written. We don't see or feel characters or connections with each other. We have to be told about them. With Luke and Han Solo, we see their friendship grow. At first they don't really like each other. Then they save each other's asses a few times. They go through some rough patches together. And then they grow and change like real people. So when old Obi-Wan says,
"And he was a good friend,"
you get a sense that it was like a real friendship. But it never seems to have been, because Obi-Wan still seems irritated with this brat.
His abilities have made him, well, arrogant. And you will pay attention to my lead.
Why? What?
And this is the height of their friendship? All Anakin does is complain about Obi-Wan behind his back, too.
He's overly critical. He never listens. It's all Obi-Wan's fault.
If Master Obi-Wan caught me doing this, he'd be very grumpy.
The boy is dangerous.
He's jealous.
and he was a good friend.
So after we're told that Obi-Wan and Anakin are friends based on all the events that happened that we didn't get to see, we're then expected to know a few things without being told them. Two very integral components of the film: intergalactic space politics and the Jedi. Now let's talk about what we do know. We know that the Jedi are an order of knights that live in a temple on Coruscant. Then the Galactic Senate is a big collection of representatives from thousands of systems that all meet in a big mushroom and vote on things. A large, corrupt, and impotent United Nations in space. I'll explain the impotence later.
That's what he said.
Hey, you can't do that. Only guys can do that. So it really is kind of amazing how inept and corrupt this space democracy is. It's quite shocking how they can't put something so big to good use. I guess size really doesn't matter. But this topic is a little too tight right now. I'll get deeper into that later. I'll get deeper into that later. Oh, so here's a couple things that no one understands at all. Apparently anyone can replace a senator, pose as a senator, and propose sweeping legislation in place of a senator. Even a cartoon rabbit that sounds like a retard. Apparently Jar Jar did it all on his own without consulting anyone after being obviously guilted into it.
If only Senator Amidala were here.
Then all we know about the Sith is that they're bad guys. That's pretty much it. Are they all ex-Jedis?
You refer to the prophecy of the one who will bring balance to the Force.
Then what is this prophecy about? What does it say? Who wrote it? When? What does bringing balance to the Force mean exactly?
I don't believe this.
You see, this is when a fish out of water main character comes in handy. All those people know this stuff, so they don't talk about it. But if you throw in a quick scene where a character called a protagonist has it explained to him, then it's explained to the audience as well.
Aeons ago, our ancestors created our great frontier.
You see, there are very few scenes like this in the prequels. Scene where somebody explains what's going on. Like scenes like this.
For eons, all creatures have dreamt of being starfighters.
Hey, wait a minute, that thing looks familiar. Hey, how did that get in this movie? How was it in there? What's going on? Hey, do those guys have PKE meters? Am I going insane? My brain is collapsing in on itself. Okay, back to the review. Or like a speech like this, where some guy tells us what the fuck's happening.
Star League Justice put down your Zurian cult.
They tell us who the bad guys are. We see the bad guys do something bad, so we don't like them. We get a lot of information so that we know what's happening. You see, the audience needs to know who we care about. And we also need to know who our enemies are, and more importantly, why. If you don't tell us why they're our enemies and we don't know why, then we don't care. Oh, I don't think you should be seeing this. Sorry about all this. I'm taping over some of my old VHS tapes, so there might be some glitches in this review. How do I turn this off? Hey, how's it going? How you doing? Email me if you know how to turn this off. Wake up! Post a comment on this web zone if you know how to turn this off. Hey, listen. I was thinking maybe you and I could have a cup of coffee today.
Mister, I haven't drank anything in 3 days. I just need some water, please.
I was thinking more coffee, you know, have a nice chat. We can talk about this.
I'll have some coffee. Untie me.
Why do you want me to untie you?
So I can drink the coffee.
Oh, I got this.
Coffee.
I understand.
I can't keep it by myself.
Number 3, the plot. So with all these complex elements left totally unexplained, George starts throwing the plot at us, which is basically the exact same plot as the last film. Palpatine is creating a crisis to get something that he wants. And again, nothing makes sense. It starts with an explosion. Kablooms! Cause you know, a movie's gotta start with an explosion, or something that gets the plot going.
I guess I was wrong. There was no danger at all.
Guess you spoke too soon.
I failed you, Senator.
How did you fail her? Isn't that exactly what you were supposed to do as a decoy? I thought you took that explosion pretty well. Nice work. Fantastic death scene too. And you managed not to get horribly burned at all. Wait, how did you die? Wait, Amidala's just a senator, right? Why does she still have a decoy protecting her? I thought that was just a thing for the Queen. When Palpatine was a senator, did he have a decoy? Was there like a similar looking old man decoy for Palpatine? Who would volunteer for such a position? So Count Dooku is rallying star systems to align against the Republic. They say Dooku is just a political idealist.
He is a political idealist.
Shut up, I'm talking.
I think the Count Dooku was behind it.
Oh, hold on, little lady. You don't know what you're talking about.
You know, milady, Count Dooku was once a Jedi. He couldn't assassinate anyone. It's not in his character.
So shut your mouth, little girl. You don't know what you're talking about. So just shut your face. But seriously, Yoda's glad you're okay.
Seeing you alive brings warm feelings to my heart.
I'll get back in the kitchen. Also, let's not forget that nasty business with Darth Maul a couple years back. Business which apparently no one bothered to follow up on. You know, come to think of it, if the Jedi had just sent 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 Jedis back with them to Naboo, they might have actually captured Darth Maul and figured out who he was working for. Can you imagine the look on his face when he opened the door and is all like, I'm a fucking badass, and then he's like, oh. How do you close these doors? Is it this button? Okay, there it goes. Oh god. Why am I even talking about this movie still? Someone help me. You know, they make a magic potion that makes you forget about the Phantom Menace when you drink it. It's called bleach. Number 4, love and marriage. So let's just get right into this. It's been like 10 years since Anakin has seen Padme. And while he was a Jedi in training and she was active in politics, they never once bumped into each other. Maybe Anakin was spending too much time in Obi-Wan's Outer Rim.
Yes.
I mean in the Outer Rim with Obi-Wan. Oh boy, that didn't come out right.
That's what he said.
Hey, quiet. That ain't funny. I'm gonna get you two. So he knows he's gonna go talk to her now, and he's suddenly really excited. Who wouldn't be? What red-blooded male wouldn't want to dock his canoe in Natalie's port, man? Now, all joking aside, why aren't the Jedis allowed to love? Because we're told they're not allowed to. But it's never really explained. Does anyone get like a creepy vibe from these movies? I guess it's got something to do with like purging emotions to avoid being tempted by the dark side, right? But Obi-Wan, you know, he smiles, he laughs, he gets annoyed.
What? Well, you've lost him.
He enjoys a good sarcastic quip.
Oh, this is going to be easy.
Sometimes he gets really, really pissed off.
You will be expelled from the Jedi Order!
So love leads to the dark side, but getting fucking pissed doesn't?
Come to your senses!
I mean, the Jedis aren't supposed to be Vulcans, right? Even Vulcans took wives and had sex. So really, the only thing that made Obi-Wan different from like a normal person was that he didn't express any interest in chicks.
I was beginning to wonder if you'd got my message.
Lack of sex can drive men crazy, you know. So when they find out that you got a high midichlorian count in your bloodstream, I guess your parents give you to the Jedi as a baby to be trained in this creepy cult-like environment, and you lose all your free will. I guess those parents don't have any emotional attachment to their children either. You see, none of those kids made a personal commitment to follow this rigid lifestyle. You can't make those kind of decisions when you're 2. So unless Yoda injected each Jedi with some kind of serum that makes you not interested in the opposite sex, you'd think the Jedi would have major problems when they all hit puberty. So then Amidala finally sees Anakin again, and for no reason she's not allowed to love either.
We can't. It's just not possible.
What the fuck? She's just a senator. Why can't she fucking date a guy?
I'm a senator.
For Christ's sake. Parents don't love their kids, men don't love women, Mace is unmarried, Palpatine don't got a wife. In fact, the only person in the galaxy who's married is Jimmy Smits.
My wife and I will take the girl.
Why is he in this movie? They should have just put Paul Blart Mall Cop in the movie. I mean, why not? Look, I've been through a divorce too. And I had some pretty bad relationships. But really, this is getting kind of creepy, don't you think?
They do decide to give in to their emotions, and ultimately they will suffer all the consequences of that.
And you don't gotta be a sex therapist to figure out what this represents. Now you can see why people hate these fucking movies. Cause the people in them act like weird space aliens and not people. Now technically they are weird space aliens, but we can't relate to their fucking weird, sterile, sexless universe. They seem as cold and lifeless and boring as the computer-generated world they're projected against. Simple, real, genuine moments like this have been replaced by this. Eventually, though, we are forced to endure the most bizarre, loveless, awkward, and forced romance in cinematic history. But I'll get deeper into that business later. Hey, cut it out. Look, I said I'll talk about their love later. I just wanted to touch my briefs on this. Briefly touch on this. Till then, I leave you with the immortal words of Dr. Sigmund Freud. Sometimes a cigar is just a giant vagina in the desert that swallows men whole. Send in the clones. So this movie's called Attack of the Clones, so I guess we should talk about that shit. And what can laughingly be called the plot. So Count Dooku has bugs make robots so that the Republic gets scared and then wants to make clones to fight the robots that the bugs made. But the clones are already being made before the robots are being made by the bugs. If you're confused, don't be ashamed. Even the writer of the film doesn't understand it. So I guess Palpatine's got Dooku talking to evil star systems into joining them, including ones led by Count Chocula, Rosie the Robot, and another racist cartoon. So let's talk about what makes no sense. If the Galactic Republic is made up of 1,000 worlds, then why can't they scrounge up a volunteer army to defend them against the robots? For no reason, a fat racist cartoon knows about Kamino and the fact that they make clones there. But no one else seems to know about this planet or ever heard of it. Even Yoda, who's been alive for 800 years. So Obi-Wan finds the planet where the dart came from, and it belongs to a bounty hunter named Boba Fett who's hanging out there. He's the guy who's trying to kill Padme. Padme is the chief senator opposed to the Military Creation Act. Drawing any connections yet? Palpatine's behind it all. Then Obi-Wan sees all the clones, and discovers that the order to make them was placed under suspicious circumstances. This was like 10 years ago, and the exact same time that Palpatine was elected Chancellor. Palpatine's behind it all. So Obi-Wan sends him a message and tells him about the clones. but Mace Idiot still thinks they're looking for Padme's assassin.
Do you think these cloners are involved in the plot to assassinate Senator Amidala?
I think this discovery of the clone army is a little more important than who's trying to kill stupid Padme. Palpatine's behind it all.
Do not assume anything, Obi-Wan.
Hey.
Clear your mind must be.
Hey,
Did the Council
idiots.
ever authorize the creation of a clone army?
No.
Only the Dark Lord of the Sith knows of our weakness.
You don't have to tell him about your diminished use of the Force. Just tell him that Obi-Wan found the clones are suspiciously being made already. And if you think that a Sith is pulling strings in the Senate, just order blood tests done on everyone. What do I mean by that? Well, in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, if they thought somebody was a shapeshifter, they cut open their hand and drip out some blood. And if it didn't change into the shapeshifter, then you were a real person. And it's been established that you can count midichlorians in someone's blood to see how much force they got in them. They find a lot of midichlorians in Palpatine. Bright lights, dumb city. You know, I could spend 10 hours talking about just how incredibly dumb this entire sequence is, but I'm gonna try to do it in 9. So the plot is that someone's trying to kill Amidala for no reason, and Anakin and Obi-Wan are assigned to protect her. So she doesn't sleep in an interior bedroom of this building with no window where it would be safer, but rather in a room where the blinds are half open and a city of 900 quadrillion people can see her, especially the robot that's there to kill her. They say they're doing this so she could be bait to catch the assassin.
You're using her as bait.
But she turns off any kind of camera surveillance so she could have her privacy.
I don't think she liked me watching her.
Is that more important than your life, you dumb bimbo? You're gonna at the very least aim the cameras at the windows, because that's the only way in. You see, surveillance cameras are only really useful for some kind of slow attack that you could run in and stop. They won't do any good if someone, launched a missile at the building, or perhaps fired a purple space bazooka at her window. Gee, maybe you better rethink this whole bait thing, idiots. In fact, this assassin character actually has a blaster rifle and seems like she's a pretty good shot. She could have just parked her speeder across the street and shot Padme through the window. She apparently knew where she was sleeping because she sent the robot there. Also, what makes him so sure that the assassin's gonna try and kill her tonight? You see, the thing with assassins is, they strike when you least expect. Hey. Sorry about that. I had a movie on in the other room. I wanted to go turn it off.
The situation is more dangerous than the senator will admit.
Yeah, the situation is so dangerous, you're walking around in the middle of broad daylight when Padme is clearly visible through many open windows. And you're the security chief? So instead they're waiting for the assassin to strike tonight. Just like they read the script in advance. But then a floating robot thing cuts a hole in the glass and releases deadly centipedes into the room. You know, if this robot probe was equipped with a blaster... Blammo. No more Amidala. So anyway, these bugs were given to this assassin by a guy named Boba Fett, who was also an assassin. Well, technically he's a bounty hunter, but I'm sure he could get the job done. So why exactly did an assassin hire another assassin? Why didn't he just do the job himself if they're his clients?
My client is getting impatient.
Everyone seems to know where Padme's room is anyway, and Boba Fett does have a jetpack that he could launch a rocket out of. Anyway, so because R2-D2 didn't aim his scanners at the window, like the most likely place an attack would occur from, the deadly bugs get in the room.
I sense it too.
Anakin senses this and runs in the room and kills him. Then Obi-Wan goes against his own advice.
Patience. Use the Force. Think.
And then recklessly throws himself out the window at the probe droid. Now a couple of things here he didn't know. A. He didn't know if he could catch the robot in time before falling to his death. B. If the probe could even support his weight. C. That the probe was not also a small bomb that would have exploded when he grabbed it. This is another case of classic role reversal as well. Anakin really should have been the one that threw himself out the window after the probe droid. Obi-Wan would have made like an annoyed face and then went out after him in the Jetsons car. Obi-Wan didn't really seem to have too much interest in this assignment anyways, other than to provide basic protection.
We're here to protect you, Senator. not to start an investigation.
After getting his gun dart stuck in Anakin's nest, he wanted to just phone this one in. Are you guys sure that wasn't supposed to be Anakin jumping out the window? Did they make a mistake when filming the scene and then just left it? Wait, Amidala's head of security has no depth perception? No, I take it back. Obi-Wan, maybe you should start an investigation. Hey, wait, isn't she dead? Gosh, Padme, you're really burning through these decoys, aren't you? Anyone want to be Padme's next decoy? Everyone's trying to kill her. Step right up. So Obi-Wan's flying around on this thing, and Anakin somehow knows how to find him. Even though by the time he gets to the speeder, Obi-Wan's probably 500 miles away. I guess the Force told him where to go so that he could eventually become Darth Vader. What if this assassin had tricked the Jedi into chasing after the probe droid, like using it as bait? Then after they left, he just floated his car up to the window and shot Padme. I guess when you rush off and chase after a probe droid without a moment's hesitation, you can make a pretty big mistake like that.
Patience. Use the Force.
Also, it's revealed in a bit that this assassin is a shapeshifter, which could very well be the most advantageous attribute that an assassin could possibly have. But instead he went with the whole bug through the window approach. You know, the classic. This also leads me to wonder why someone who could disguise their face by changing it would need to wear a disguise. So anyway, they're assuming that this person driving the space car is an assassin. When really they could just be like a getaway driver or maybe like a regular person who's under some kind of mind control to commit the assassination. But despite having almost no information at all, Anakin lands on top of the speeder and then attempts to murder her with his lightsaber. Now I understand he really loves Padme, but come on, are you even 100% certain you landed on the right speeder? So then they crash land and she runs inside of like a nightclub and Obi-Wan says,
You went in there to hide, not to run.
How do you know that? Hey, I asked you a question. How do you know you ran in there to hide? Did you read the script too? Hey, what's that? What's that on the ground over there? Is that the script? Anyway, maybe the assassin went in there because he knows the owner and there's like a secret backdoor escape route. Or this was like a backup plan in case he got chased there. Maybe there's 10 Nausicaans waiting for the Jedi at the Domjot table.
Play, Domjot, human.
Obi-Wan makes a lot of assumptions, doesn't he? Maybe the Force told him. But when Anakin tells him it's a shapeshifter, Obi-Wan knows to be extra careful.
In that case, be extra careful.
As if they were only being sort of careful before. So they go in there and they look around, and then the assassin does something out of character. He attempts to kill one of the Jedi. This guy's mission was to kill Padme. If he's in a position to where he could sneak up on a Jedi, then why isn't he using this opportunity to escape? Especially when he's not sure where the other Jedi is. These are like amateur mistakes. So Obi-Wan brutally cuts his arm off in a scene that's supposed to mirror the original Star Wars Cantina scene, I guess.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Oh, hey, what's up? Listen, I can't really talk right now. I'm right in the middle of doing my new Star Wars review. We could talk. Oh my God! What's wrong with your face? So then Anakin acts like some kind of undercover thug cop.
Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
Who hired you? Tell us.
Tell us now!
I thought Jedi were like peaceful guardians of the Republic, not Serpico. Well, I guess when the guy who's training you says this
weapon is your life.
Then you kind of have a distorted view of things. What was it that Yoda once said?
Force not make one great.
This weapon is your life.
But now a weapon is your whole life? In fact, Yoda never even trained Luke with the lightsaber. It seemed like all the other stuff was more important. I guess I just don't understand. This is a bunch of schlock. So then the assassin with perfect assassination skills takes out the other assassin when he should have just killed Amidala himself. Hey guys, there's the bounty hunter responsible for everything. Yep, he's flying away in a jetpack, probably with a limited range. Hey, remember when you guys were somehow able to chase after and locate one speeder among millions? How about you run back to your speeder and chase after this guy now? Sure, he's not gonna get too far in a rocket pack. I bet you're tired, though. I'd be tired, too. I get tired of just walking out to my shed sometimes. So how you doing? Those things?
I'm fine. I miss my baby.
Your baby? Well, you know, it's been like 3 days now, right? I'm afraid your baby's with the angels.
If you would have killed me, you would have done it by now. Just let me go, please.
Kill you? I ain't gonna kill you. I brought you up here for a reason.
What? Oh, mister, please just let me go. I promise I won't tell the cops.
Oh. My pizza rolls is done. You want some pizza rolls?
No thanks.
Are you sure? They're really good pizza rolls. They're hot and pizza-y and tasty.
In fact, it's all I really eat. You should really try to have some pizza. Oh, fuck me.
Get back!
Back here.